Hello ladies and gents, PepperBelly here. The beta is over for Titanfall, and of course it's a very sad day because it's been over for a couple days now. It ended on the 19th, and well, I'm super depressed because there's nothing really to do. I can't play it, every other game seems pretty stale in comparison to it, and I'm going to just talk about a few things that were brought up by almost everyone who ever seen this game and either has played it or hasn't played it, and those concerns are basically addressed like, I don't want to play another Call of Duty clone with mechs, or the game looks like it could be fun for a while, and it looks like there's not enough content to keep it fresh and postpone the longevity of the game, or that the game doesn't introduce new gameplay mechanics, and it just seems like a standard shooter with nothing really special to offer. Overall, what I'm going to cover is Titanfall. Is it worth the hype? The answer is a little bit more complex than what you might expect, and that's because everything is complicated when answering kind of questions like this, because obviously Titanfall has won numerous awards before it's even been released. The beta came out, it's been like praised from the heavens from everyone that this game is incredibly, amazingly awesome. Now, my initial impressions of this game have been phenomenal. I mean, I absolutely loved it from the get-go. My first match, I had goosebumps jumping in from the friggin' dropship and then running around on foot and then seeing a mech come in from orbit from the first time, and all those things just completely blew my mind. I was absolutely immersed into the epicness of the situation that this game portrayed, and it was just like everything, the environment, everything that was going on was just incredible to experience for the first time. Now, yes, there are some striking similarities between this and Call of Duty. No one's going to deny that. A lot of shooters feel exactly the same or look similar in one way or another. Now, Titanfall does have a similar look, considering it is made by the guys who made Call of Duty 4. Now, let's break this down in a simple way. Call of Duty has never really been shitty, and I want to be honest, because I'm one person who absolutely hates Call of Duty for what it is. But Call of Duty isn't really bad because of the gunplay. That's not really the problem with Call of Duty. It's the oversaturation of bullshit they've incorporated into the game. All the unnecessary mechanics that add all these additional assets to the game, which don't really benefit it in any particular way. If you look at Call of Duty 4, which to me is the best Call of Duty game in the modern era, it's the best Call of Duty. I actually love playing it. It's great to play. Why? Because it's very simplistic and balanced with basic core gameplay functions. That's all you need. The gunplay in Call of Duty has never really been an issue. It's like, it's a twitch shooter. It feels obviously not realistic when you want to compare it to games that feel a little bit more authentic, like Battlefield and especially the Arma series, which focuses mainly on realistic ballistics and actual firefights. It feels extremely realistic. It feels more like you're firing lasers out of your weapon because the rounds are hit scan. They're like you're shooting basically lasers at people and it registers via hit scan instead of firing an actual physical ballistic object at a player in the game world like Arma 3. And to be honest, throughout my entire gameplay experience with the Titanfall beta, I haven't really felt like I was playing Call of Duty. None of that actually even occurred to me, and people who have actually stopped playing the beta once it ended and went back to playing Call of Duty saw major differences in the gunplay and the overall feel of the game. So it kind of goes to show that although it looks strikingly similar, the actual gunplay and gameplay mechanics feel a little different. Therefore, it is a different game. It doesn't feel like Call of Duty. It may look the same. It may offer some sort of perk system or burn cards, which are kind of similar to the way Call of Duty's perk system works. It does feel different, and overall, it is a different game, and that's something you should definitely consider. Saying that the game doesn't introduce new gameplay mechanics is an incredibly shallow way of looking at Titanfall. I mean, let's really be honest here. They have parkour. There are games out there that focus purely on the parkour element alone. Let's look at Mirror's Edge. That game has the most repetitive campaign you can experience in your life with some minor gunplay mechanics and first-person elements with some hand-to-hand combat. A little system that's been built into the game just to enhance, just to differentiate the gameplay and kind of fluid it out in a different way instead of just running all over the place and wall running and rolling and stuff. It was still fun to play, and it was an incredibly addictive experience. I mean, playing Mirror's Edge, I was actually addicted just to running around and doing things repeatedly. That's all I would want to do. Playing Titanfall, just running around, using the parkour elements by wall running, jumping from building to building, climbing up walls, doing everything you do to traverse the entire environment, actually feels fun as hell. It's super addicting just to do that alone. That, by itself, makes this game fun. I mean, I prefer, and honestly this obviously changes for everybody who actually plays these kind of games, but I actually like playing as an infantry soldier a lot more than I do playing a pilot and a Titan. That's just my personal opinion, because I actually just love being able to maneuver around the map. I love the mobility and speed and fluidity of the controls and the parkour elements that can actually allow me to feel in complete control of my character and be able to dominate the enemy in a way that no other game really offers. Now, of course, the parkour element's a very simple mechanic to incorporate into a game, but even though it's very simple, very basic, it actually works so fluidly with the entire theme of Titanfall. Being able to be a pilot, unlike traditional AI soldiers you running around, which would be standard infantry trained soldiers, you're technically like the spec ops pilots who would be going out and doing the more intense, more skill-related, and more devious tasks that obviously standard infantry would not do, hence why you can pretty much dominate everyone, and you have special abilities, and you have gem packs, and you can run all over the place and do crazy parkour. But it also helps balance out the Titan gameplay against infantry. If this parkour element wasn't in the game, clearly the Titans would be insanely overpowered going up against pilots. Pilots would have no chance whatsoever combating these things, because Titans are incredibly overpowered, and the only real way to take on a Titan is to be extremely mobile, move around the map in a very vigorous, fluid fashion, dodging fire from them, using the cover to your advantage, sneaking out and firing a salvo of your rockets at them, and taking off again. Hit and run tactics, and being able to do parkour and run around the map in a very nice way allows you to do that, and you can actually stay alive for a long time. There's been numerous times where I've taken on countless mechs by myself, or not even just taking them on and actually taking them out, but just harassing them. Just going after them, pissing them off, while my friendly Titans were able to get in there and start dishing damage. I would be the guy on the sideline, just pissing them off and dealing basically mosquito bites to the Titans and making them ultimately get distracted and or panic, which ends up resulting in their demise, being doomed and getting killed and eventually having to eject, which then I would step in and obviously take them out, or whatever the case may be. So yes, the gameplay mechanic is a very small, minor incorporation, it's like, but they do it well, okay? The game actually does a good job of such a simple mechanic that it actually balances the gameplay very, very nicely in a new way that I've never really seen done in any other game. Obviously, the Crisis series has some kind of parkourish element in it, and the ability that you can move quickly, jump high, all that kind of stuff. But it lacks wall running, and this game actually has wall running, has a few additional assets to it that actually make the gameplay a hell of a lot more fun and great to experience over other conventional modern AAA shooters. So let's actually talk about the content in Titanfall. Now, it's really hard to talk about this because during the beta, they barely let you scratch the surface of what this entire game has included in it. There's like a few burn cards you can unlock, the very basic perks, one Titan chassis, and like very simplistic weapons, like one of every variety. So you got like one pistol, one assault rifle, one SMG, one shotgun, one sniper rifle. Pretty much just the very basics of what you can possibly experience in this game, which there's been rumored to be like 70 plus weapons and like several Titans and a whole bunch of 50 burn cards and a lot more perks for your actual characters and Titans. Now, I've never been a fan of perks. I'm going to come out and say it, I really don't like perks in games. That's one of the main reasons why I absolutely hated the Modern Warfare and Call of Duty series, because over time they just added a whole bunch of them, which just altered the gameplay in this mind-blowingly retarded way that it oversaturated it and it made it like not enjoyable to me. However, in this game, the abilities don't seem like perks per se. They feel more like a specialization in what your character is actually able to do. Now, you could say the same for Modern Warfare and how, like, I don't know, rapid fire, that's not even a real thing, but you can obviously, in real life, alter weapons to make the firing rate a lot higher, which obviously has overheating issues, etc. Or sleight of hand, because people can actually reload weapons incredibly fast. It was also a kind of a skill thing, which is the whole idea of a perk. But in this game particularly, it's the future. It's a little bit different, and it's a little bit more acceptable in this environment because it actually works. Perks help you deal with other players and other Titans, and overall it helps the game function properly. The one thing I don't like, though, is the burn cards, because the burn cards, although are very minor in use, you can only use them once per life. So you get a burn card to select it, you only have 3 slots, and then in that one match you can use only 3 of them once per life. Once you use it and you spawn, even if you activate the card, you spawn, you get killed immediately, boom, that card is no longer useful to you, you just wasted a card. It adds kind of additional advantages to players that I'm not too thrilled with. But the best part about it is that regardless of what perks you have, you can still kill the shit out of other players. It's not like someone who has perks has a huge advantage over you. You can easily take out other players as effectively as any other player can. It doesn't really feel like the perks get in the way of the gameplay, which is what I'm trying to get across. That's what actually matters. There's also the inclusion of actual AI bots in the game that may seem like a minor thing, but it actually alters the gameplay in a very significant way. And I mean that, like, it boggles my mind how awesome the game is with the addition of AI. If they weren't in the game, it would feel a little bit more stale, it'd feel less claustrophobic, less chaotic and hectic, and it would just basically be like pure PvP. It wouldn't really feel like there's any other goal to attain while playing. And the AI actually has a huge influence on what happens if you're playing attrition, which is basically team deathmatch. You gain more points, you get the ability to spawn your Titan faster if you kill more and more AI. There's actually a perk system which allows you to notice all the AI will appear on your minimap so you can see where they are, so you can get to them quickly and destroy the shit out of them. It feels a lot like a MOBA game, which is so awesome. If you're ever familiar with like Dota 2 and games like that, they're essentially creeps, to say the least. They're not exactly skilled or smart in a sense that they're going to be a huge threat to you, but they'll definitely contribute to the way the actual game unfolds over time. That alone is something worth noting that's actually different in traditional multiplayer first-person shooters, because most games don't offer AI in that kind of sense, and if they do, they're usually just a tedious annoyance, something that's just there kind of hindering your performance or your gameplay experience, where here it actually enhances it. It actually makes the entire experience a lot better. The AI will interact with you, they'll acknowledge your presence, they will say things to you, they will even make comments about what's so special about a pilot, and like their commander or their section commander will like tell them, well, just watch them, or there'll be banter back and forth. You can run in the buildings and see two guys battling it out hand to hand, an enemy and you're friendly. You can go and assist him by killing him off, he'll thank you. There's always dialogue that actually makes it feel like you're part of this huge battle and you are a significant player and have a huge role to play in that fight. So looking at all these gameplay mechanics, although they may be small and simplistic things here and there, when you combine them all together, they overlap into this amazing experience that most shooters just do not offer out there. You know, the 6v6 multiplayer with these awesome objective type game modes, especially with the addition of the campaign multiplayer, which is going to be released with the game, which is going to be literally a campaign in a multiplayer setting. It's going to be interesting to see how that even unfolds, because most games that have ever tried to do that in the past haven't really succeeded in a way that makes it worthwhile, while that's going to be one of the main focal points of this game, is the campaign multiplayer. It's something they're really heavily advertising. It's something that might actually turn out really well. Now, the game does run the risk of becoming oversaturated with these additional assets and mechanics and little bullshit perk systems, which I really hope they don't do. I mean, if you look at games like Blacklight Retribution, I used to love the shit out of Blacklight. Blacklight Tango Down, a very simplistic competitive shooter, I loved it. Blacklight Retribution enhanced all those experiences and mechanics and made them a lot more dynamic and fluid and just overall more polished. It was a better experience. Towards the beta, it was very simple and it was great. And then over time, they started adding all these additional assets that just made the game completely boring and ridiculous and annoying and just like rage-inducing because of all these little things they added, especially how it was free to play. It really made it so people who spent money kind of had an advantage because they get all these ridiculous equipment items and stuff that would just be stupid, like people running around with a hammer and bashing over the head. This is unrelated to Titanfall. I'm just hoping that Titanfall doesn't turn into something like that, because what they have right now is basically the Call of Duty 4 of Call of Duties. It's simple, it has some of the perk elements, but it's very balanced and simplistic, and if they keep it this way, the game will be fun and won't be oversaturated with the bullshit that everybody knows and hates from the Call of Duty series. So that pretty much concludes this video. Is Titanfall worth the hype? That is not for me to tell you, that is for you to decide, because there is so much to this game that I just really can't describe without you personally experiencing. And watching gameplay is one thing, actually playing it is an entire other. And you really do need to experience the game itself to really, truly come to a definitive conclusion of whether or not you actually think it was worth the hype, worth all the numerous awards, worth everything that people say is so damn great about it. It's all up to you to decide. I personally thoroughly enjoyed the beta. I'm looking forward to the game. I cannot wait to play it because I enjoyed it immensely. That is my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. Take it for what it is. My opinion may not obviously be similar to yours because obviously everyone has different tastes in what they like. My name has been PepperBelly. Thank you guys for joining me today. I will see you on the next one.